Hi you guys, this is skill 16, properties of logs. So make sure you have your notes out to take whatever notes you need. And then the bottom corner is labeled with the slide number. And last class we introduced logs, so we're going to talk about some of their properties. So you're going to want to copy this next slide. It tells us our basic properties. So go ahead, pause the screen, copy those. We have this idea of a product, so multiplying two things within a log is the same as adding them. Dividing two things within a log is the same as separating them as different logs. If we have a power, the power can be moved to the front. And also notice these all would have the same basis. This will make more sense once we start actually practicing it. So using those properties, we're going to see I'm adding two logs. So this is the same as log 8. I can adding is the same as multiplying. 5 times 9. This is the same log base 8 of 45. So in there would be a 45. This is wondering, subtraction is the same as division. So log base 3 of 5 over what equals log base 3 of 5 over 8. So that and that are going to be the same numbers, so it's going to be an 8. This is asking us to change the power of this. We can write this log base 9 of 3 to the third. We can then bring the power to the front. So we'd have a 3 in there. So our powers come to the front. Subtracting, we would divide. Adding becomes multiplying within the same log. So this wants us to expand this. So by expanding this, it wants me to write them as separate logs. So I can write this as log. I know my base is 10. It's invisible, but it's there. Remember, multiplying becomes adding two different logs. So I applied the product. Now I see here that I have a power. That power can come to the front. And I applied power. And then I'm going to rewrite this without the 10 there, because we can assume that there's a 10. So this is a little different. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite all of this. My x is to the 7th. I have y squared times 1, 6. This is like, sorry, I'll write it up here. Rewriting that square root is the same as 1/3. So it's like log base x is what that ends up looking like. And I have multiplication between all these. So I can write that as 3 different logs. X to the 7th, y to the 2/3, z to the 1/3. I'll bring my exponent to the front. I know my base is 10. I just have an invisible 10 in all these places. So this is asking us to write the expression as a single logarithm. In other words, we want to condense. So we've been doing expanding ones, now we want to do condensing ones. So I'm going to distribute this 3. And I'm going to apply the power rule first. And then we see all these are the same bases. So this is probably the hardest part. Y to the 3rd, I'm dividing by x to the 12th. It's like a negative. That means divide by x to the 12th, z to the 3rd. So it looks something like that. The last aspect we're going to talk about before we move forward is the idea of canceling logs. So if I have log a to the a, let's think about what that could equal. We're saying a to what power equals a. Our question mark is going to equal 1. So a to the 1st power equals a. So if I showed you something like log base 3 of 3, that equals x equals 1. If I showed you something like log base 10 to the 3rd, that would equal 3. If I showed you ln of e to the 12th, that's like log base e to the 12th. That would equal 12. So in your little number, in your when your base and this are the same, they cancel out to equal 1. So we're going to go ahead and apply that as we work on these. It wants us to use the properties to solve. So first I'm going to try to condense. I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to bring my exponent to the front. So I end up with log base 2 to the 9th. And we know that this is simplifies to 1/4. Now from here there's 2 ways. I think a log base 2 to the 1/4 equals x. 2 to what equals 1/4. I know 1/4 is the same as 2 to the negative 2. So I get x equals negative 2. Or I can think of it way 2. I would still have to write two to the 2, and I would still end up with -2. Let's go ahead and try the second one. I have addition, which means multiplication. So that means ln of e to the 12th. I can think of this way 1, which would be rewriting it log base e of e to the 12th equals what? So e to what equals e to the 12th. I know that x has to equal 12. Or I can think of this way 2 log base e of e to the 12th. I know that when they're the same, they cancel out. So that just becomes a 12. Go ahead and practice these two on your own. So pause the screen, try these two, and then I will go through them with you guys as well. That becomes ln e to the 3 times 7 that becomes division. Becomes e to the 13. I can think of it, I know ln and e cancel out, and I just end up with a 13. Or you can try it a different way. Here I would see that that's multiplying, so it's 4 times 9. Log base 6 of 36. I can think of this two different ways. I know 36 is 6 squared, so I'd just be left with a 2. Or I can think of it as log base 6 to the 36 equals x. 6 to the x equals 36. 6x equals 6 to the power of x equals 6 squared. And I get my missing thing is 2. So there's a couple different ways you can think of these.